Welcome everyone to the PJScast. I'm your host Pierce, alongside of our usual co-host Jimmy, but we have a very special guest today. He's done it all really. He's the host of the Steve Dangle podcast. He's works for Sportsnet. He's written a book, and now he has a new child. How's it going, Steve Dangle?
Hey, it's going pretty good. I just before joining you tried. So sometimes I get sent free crap I get sent free stuff by companies, and Kraft Dinner sent me a free box of macaroni and cheese. Now that's not crap. I love Kraft Dinner macaroni and cheese.
Me too.
The problem is this was a gimmick promotional thing that they sent me. It was pumpkin spice KD.
Oh wow.
Folks, I gotta tell you, pumpkin spice and cheese, weird combo.
I can't say I've tried that. I can't say I will, but for the sake of ads, yeah.
But you can say you won't.
No, that's true. Definitely not for you either today. No.
All right, Steve, how have you been doing during this whole COVID situation? Every guest we've had on, we've asked them what they've been doing.
Yeah, you think that after Thanksgiving and Halloween they get rid of the pumpkin spice? They kept it to December, and not only that, they put it with cheese.
I know.
I feel like that's an effort, man.
COVID's, I don't know, it's been bizarre. So the March 11th was obviously the Rudy Gobert day, and I was at Sportsnet that day, and I was shooting some hockey stuff at the studio that day, and the news broke at the beginning of, I want to say it was at the beginning of our shoot. The games had been canceled by the end of our shoot, and by the time I got home, the season was canceled. So it moved very, very fast. And then we had a bit of a scare because remember at the beginning there was all this misinformation, or there were a ton of maybes. So everything circled around the Utah Jazz. So Rudy Gobert plays for the Utah Jazz, and Donovan Mitchell got it too, I think. Yeah, then it was where have the Utah Jazz played? Then it was who has played in the Utah Jazz's arena. And one of the answers was the Tampa Bay Lightning, and Victor Hedman had just been in the same studio that I was in. And I'm like, oh my God. So that was my little freak out at the beginning. Yeah. Then the next day, they canceled the NHL season. Fun fact about the next day, March 12th.
Wasn't it your birthday?
My birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday. You get the second lockout.
And the whole time I was keeping a secret that that my wife was pregnant. So my first son was born in June, and now he's 5 months old. And he's a cute kid. I wish I could share him with more people. He's been in like 10 buildings his whole life.
That's an interesting time, man. You got a lot of stories to tell him, man. You know, as he gets older.
One day he's gonna be like, "Wait a sec, I was born that year." Well, okay, it's time to have the talk, son.
Good things to come out of 2020, I guess, is how you can put it.
Yeah, it's
been pretty great. Yeah.
When I saw that video, I thought you were holding up I think a lot of people thought this too, that you're holding up like a fake plastic baby, and I'm like, there's no way that's real. I thought you were announcing like that your wife was pregnant, and then I actually watched the video. I'm like, oh, that's an actual baby.
Yeah, wow. And I watched it back after I saw people say that, and I had to watch it really close, and I'm like, it's actually really difficult to tell it's a real human child.
Yeah.
He didn't move very much, but he was like 24 hours old. Or whatever he was when we brought him home. He was a few days old.
So I have to ask you, like during quarantine, what have you been watching? Any new TV shows, reading any books, or listening to any podcasts or any of that?
I've been listening to a lot of Science Versus with Wendy Zuckerman. So that's been cool, learning about COVID, but also like learning about platypuses and their interesting fur.
Platypi, actually.
Platypi, my bad.
Yeah, sorry, no. I don't want to get canceled.
Sharks and pigs and all that stuff. I like science. And for work, you know, with the lack of games, I've been doing a lot of trade trees and Dangit's videos, and basically just going through the NHL's history and learning a lot of things that I didn't know about. And it's been a lot of fun. We did a 40+ minute video on the Eric Lindros trade in 1992. and that I think was the pinnacle of it all. And that was another fun thing to do with my wife and my the child that we were expecting, is they kept moving up the date of when he was expected to arrive. Meanwhile, I'm working on this behemoth video. And so I'm doubling up my efforts to try to get it done in time. And I think we ended up getting it done. I was working on a video the day she went into labor, and I just messaged everyone at Sportsnet and I went, this one's going to have to wait.
What's your favorite trade tree that you've done, or like the most interesting one, or a little bit of both, I guess?
It's got to be Lindros. It's just, It took so long to do. It really did take forever. I couldn't have tried harder on it. Like I'm just really proud of it. And I like some of the other videos that we did. Like we did a retrospective on the night Patrick Waugh allowed 9 goals.
Wasn't that exactly 25 years ago? Like a couple days ago?
Yes, and then the 25-year anniversary of the trade is tomorrow, because he was traded four days later. And funny enough, that trade is part of the Lindros trade tree.
No way!
You got to watch the video.
Yeah, I gotta watch that now. That's exciting. That's what we do after.
I think one of my favorite ones in terms of the trade trees was the Andrew Ferentz one. Oh no, was it Andrew Ferentz? Oh no, the Joe Thornton becoming Andrew Ferentz and whatnot.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was well, because like I enjoyed going back and looking at a few deals that were considered fleecings. And going back and discovering, well, they weren't actually that bad, or yes, it was bad, but at least they did this. For the Bruins, I mean, they lost that trade, but they won the cup. So
it's a question that I feel like I hear a lot in your podcast, and I find it very fascinating. It's that you look at a really good player, right? As your good buddy Adam would say, Artemi Panarin, which is still giving me bugs to this day. But say for example the Hawks, you get a guy like Saad. Say they get more out of that. Say they're actually not run terribly by an awful GM and they get to a cup. There's that argument of this player's really good, this player's fantastic and by far better than anything you've got. But who won the cup and who really won that trade? And it's it can be such a silly argument, but it's like at the end of the day, well, what is the goal? It's to win the cup.
The Leafs and Bruins years ago made a deal where the Leafs sent Thomas Kaberle to the Bruins.
That was it. Yeah.
And the Bruins gave up far too much, and Kaberle was not good for the Bruins. And he was I love this little bit of trivia. He was the only Boston Bruin in Game 7 of the 2011 Stanley Cup Final to not play at least 10 minutes.
Wow.
They kept him the hell off the ice. Sean Thornton played over 10 minutes, right? The Bruins' fourth line, they were rotating lines in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. Thomas Kaberle did not get in there. But A, the Leafs did nothing with what they got from Boston, and B, cup. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. It's like we're Blackhawks fans, and that kind of reminds me of 2015, where they traded a first for Antoine Vermette. It's like, would you trade a first for Antoine Vermette? No, but you won the cup, so it doesn't matter. Plus, you had all those big goals.
It's like Tampa this year, a first for Barclay Goodrow.
Yeah, they won, so it doesn't matter.
You had your mind, but they won.
All's forgiven when you win the cup.
100%.
Very interesting one. Well, I have a question that I've been wanting to ask, kind of in my head. I'm like,
it's a hard-hitting question.
Very hard-hitting question. So, I think it was about a year or two ago. I forget how long ago it was. You got into a franchise that I hadn't got into yet, Harry Potter. And this year, my buddy he made me go through all of it. And really great surprise. I loved all of it. I genuinely loved all of it. It was great. So I have to ask you, because I've been busy. I haven't had the time to listen to the podcast as much or the Harry Potter videos. I really want to get to those. What is your favorite Harry Potter book? And which one did you think, I'm guessing you've seen the movies. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Which one do you think was done the most justice in terms of interpretation? That's a huge conversation people have.
So the books, I went into it with a very open mind. So I knew, I knew some things from my friends. The first few books are kids' books. And then the books kind of, you grow up with them, or at least you were supposed to. I was a 29-year-old man when I started the series. But
both characters.
so I went into it with an open mind. The movies, because there's so much going on, and the
Yeah.
fact that the movies are kind of old now, make it a lot more
Yeah.
difficult. The first movie, I'm like,
Oh.
oh, it's gonna be tough to get through this series. But the
It's a very, very kids movie. You can tell they were really trying it out there, you know.
well, and it's like I think the first Harry Potter is something like a 9-hour audiobook.
Oh,
And
jeez.
the movie's like 2.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah, it
so
is like
you
two, yeah.
have a fifth almost, barely over a quarter of the time to tell the
Fair
exact
enough.
same story, and it's really difficult. The one that was done the most justice, I thought, was the 7th book, because they split it into 2 giant movies.
Yes. Now I feel that you definitely couldn't do that for everything.
No, but
there's
it's
no way
like
you could do
6
that for
hours worth
everything.
of film or 5 hours worth of film.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and
It's-
the second one, I thought the 7th book, the first movie, I thought that was fantastic. As long as my favorite one, I thought that it was like you finally had time to flesh things out. Like you
Yeah.
said, it felt like it had time for that. And the second one, they went all in. It was like Endgame for them. They just did everything they wanted to, and like, I mean, you have the right to do that. You
And there
made that
were
entire series. Yeah,
a few things they took creative liberty with, but like
yeah,
Neville and the Snake, I'm like, that's freaking great. That's really cool.
yeah. That felt great. I
Um,
love that he became something. You know.
the best books, I really like listening to Goblet,
Oh yeah.
and Order of the Phoenix is also really good, but
Yes.
that's Half-Blood Prince is good.
That's the one
Um,
I really love as a book and a movie. Half-Blood Prince is fantastic.
they're all good. I would
Yeah.
say the series, there are times where you got to kind of go, all right, blah 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 blah, through
Yeah.
Chamber and a little, sometimes Prisoner of Azkaban, but Goblet of
weird because
Fire, and
apparently
from
the
then
movie
on,
is
it's just
so good.
bangers.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Here's the thing,
so
I gotta get into Harry Potter. I've watched the first like couple movies and I read the first book, but like I gotta finish it. And the thing is with me, I'm like you, I can't read a book. Like I probably gotta listen to it via audio. So
Do
I
the
think I'm gonna start
audiobooks,
doing
man.
that. Yeah,
Can't
that's
read
what I'm
them,
gonna
can't read
do.
them.
I think I'm gonna
That's
do
what
It's
I've
that.
worth the money too. Like you'll probably look at how much it costs for the full series and be like, Jesus, like I think it's a couple $100, but it's
great.
it's like 50 hours worth
Oh yeah,
of
I think I'm gonna do
it's
that now.
wild.
Yeah.
Perfect at this time too. I've had so much time right now, working like 20 hours only in my job and whatnot, unemployment and all that crap. I do need to listen to those because I've only gotten through a couple.
Yeah. I think it's more
yeah.
than 50 hours. It's a wild amount of
It's definitely a lot.
Yeah.
No doubt about
it'll
that.
take you
Yeah.
I was a different age when I finished the whole series, so and I listen
That's a
to
good
it
way
like
to
every
put it.
day.
That's great. Hey, well, you know what? I honestly, the money I spend on movies, I'm very big with movies and whatnot. Pierce gives me crap for not seeing every Stanley Kubrick movie.
Yeah.
The amount of money I've spent on movies, I think I could spare a couple hundred at some point to listen to those because they're fantastic
Oh,
in what
yeah.
I've heard in every way. Yeah,
For sure.
but yeah.
What do you think? What's been your favorite guest on the STP, and what do you think has been the most memorable moment of the show?
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Wow.
this is the one we knew was going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, our favorite, I think we got to do favorite one-time guest and favorite recurring guest.
That's true. Yeah.
Chris Johnston. All right. Anyways,
Favorite one-time guest. Very difficult. John Scott was very surprising because I didn't know he was coming on, and the boys surprised me with him. Nick Kiprios
yeah, I remember
was
that.
called it. I knew it.
yeah. Nick
Nick
Kiprios
Kiprios
was
is
nothing
great.
like what I thought he was going to be, and he was so open and then I just listened to him on Craig Custens's podcast on Full 60, and he's the same guy. He's great. He's a very good storyteller and very, very humble. Like for a guy who, once you get to know him, is, you know, he can be pretty loud and brash and everything, but like he's in those situations, he's almost like bashful. And but my favorite recurring guest is Chris Johnston,
Yeah.
hands down, and probably the most memorable podcast was when the Leafs got eliminated in the 2019 playoffs by Boston.
Yeah.
They come home to Toronto, they do their locker clean out, and Chris, I think, walked from the arena to the studio and just spilled everything. Like,
that was a great
everything.
podcast.
And basically called the Joe Thornton signing a year later.
Yep. Yeah, he's done that, man. He's dropped a few bombs on our podcast. We basically solved that Lupul was gonna get what ended up happening to Lupul.
Yeah, Lupul Island, right?
Then the Babcock episode. Well, I call it the Babcock episode, but he hadn't been fired yet. And then the Thornton signing. Yeah, man. CJ rules.
Yeah. He just seems like a great guy too. I'm sure you can confirm that.
He's just a genuinely good person. Yeah, genuinely good, genuinely kind, like just really zen, great to talk to. Like,
doesn't he post a lot of like self-improvement things on his Instagram, stuff like that?
Yeah, and a lot of that makes me nauseous, but when he posts it, I'm like, you're right.
No, when you find the right person who actually cares about those things, you know it.
Yeah. It's I think it's he's just got his stuff together. I got a crush on CJ.
Man crush.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
Yeah. The Kyprios really, I remember being, God, how long did that come out? How long ago did that come out?
It's been like 4 years.
2016, because Frederick Anderson had just signed with the Leafs.
Okay. Yeah. I have to mention, I'm actually, I know this is a Blackhawks podcast. I'm actually a Leafs fan, a bit. Really, yeah.
A bit.
No, I watched.
A bit.
I grew up. My dad's a diehard fan. The Hawks are my team, but it was like I was a kid, and I'm not even joking. I was getting into sports, and I go, I like the color blue, and I go, I like that team's jersey, and I followed it. I found your podcasts, and definitely.
How'd that go?
Oh, it's been going great for sure. It's funny because it's kind of it's both worlds, right? The Hawks are. I started following hockey when I was 12, and it was just right into this dynasty, right? It was like a kid in the 90s with the Red Wings. Yeah, I know. Like everyone's like, "Oh, you're a bandwagoner." I'm like, no, like I didn't know sports. So I'm like, I'm just gonna watch this. I was very, very lucky, but it really, it's almost humbling the last few years. Like with how downhill a franchise can go, and it really opened my eyes to a lot of things. But yeah, watching the Leafs, I remember very vividly going on my computer. I didn't have a phone. I remember going on my computer, going to NHL.com because I was there all the time, and going, "Oh wow, Kadri just scored! Oh my god!" Yeah, second round. So I'm not going to be an asshole and say that I feel the pain, because there's no way that I can understand an actual Leafs fan. I will never try to play the victim card or whatever, try to brag there. But no, it's really cool having followed this team and kind of seeing where they've gone. And I remember being a kid, 14 years old, again, having a Nintendo 2DS and going on my computer, hooking it up and downloading the SDP to listen to podcasts. And kind of in this moment, it's surreal. Like I'm not to assume, but I'm sure that you're listening to this and you're like, oh, okay, like I'm just doing my thing. But I really have to stress it. Like, it means the world to us. The reason we made a podcast was we listened to yours, Trevor, and we're like, we want to do something like this. And so to have you on, I'd say to Pierce, I'm like, this is kind of like the baptism by fire. And this is everything to us.
Oh, I feel like the GM, like landing the big fish in free agency. That's what I feel like. It's like, yeah, we've had these great guests on, but
he does look like John Tavares. Yeah. He does look like John Tavares. Maybe that's just a great metaphor.
He used to look like John Tavares. I don't think I still do. Where's my figure? Do I have my? I have a JT figure somewhere. I was gonna hold it up.
Oh, Pierce, that's a great question. I'm gonna ask in a minute.
JT. Now I'm concerned. Oh well. Anyway, sorry. What's your question?
What's my question? My question is how much for the Reimer figure?
It's priceless. It's priceless. It's been all over the world because Adam stole it. Where is it?
Does he actually?
There it is.
That's awesome.
Adam stole it and took it to Florida, I think.
That's awesome. He was my favorite player for a long time. So the recurring joke was awesome. Yeah. Oh, dude, he's so cool. He's so cool. And again, like the way I looked at the Leafs, I said my favorite color was blue. I was like, oh, this guy's James. Dude's incredible. I'm kind of a James Reimer apologist. I think that if he was in a better system, he'd be in a much better situation.
And you're right.
Better than Peter Mrazek. Thank you. I don't understand. I mean, this is a weird conversation. I feel that he's the kind of goalie, he sees more shots, he's better. And
100%.
and no team seems to figure that out. They're like, oh, he's a backup because he has lower numbers on these teams that don't give him shots. Peter Mrazek is hot and cold, doesn't even put it right.
He's inconsistent. Yeah.
Oh, insanely inconsistent. Well, in terms of in like just his vision, everything. So
He's the check Mike Smith.
That's quite the way to put it.
Where
he plays
Mike Smith, it can be mid 90s Dominic Hasek or a bum.
Us
and
Black
there's really no in between.
Very well, 2012, but then we chased him out the first game in 2020 against.
He never saw the ice again.
No. There you go.
No. So here's to hoping the Blackhawks get James Reimer. Anyways.
I mean, I'd love that.
Well, they don't have anyone else in bloody net right now.
Exactly.
No,
the best goaltender.
Malcolm Suda and Colin Delia?
Yeah.
Who thinks that's a good idea? The hell?
Stan Bowman, apparently. That's what we're figuring out. Yeah. Oh, my God.
That's a whole other can of worms that we can get into.
Yeah, Pierce, you want to get into that? Yeah, that's a great question. Pierce, Steve, I know we've had you over the time limit. We'll ask you one more question about the Blackhawks, and you can get in your way. Don't have to for too long. Seriously, you've been awesome coming on here. But Pierce, you want to get into the Blackhawks? That's
this was more your question. So, but
I mean, let's get into it. We can all talk about it. Yeah. So I'm sure you don't know too much about the Blackhawks, seeing as they don't get too much national coverage whatsoever at all.
No, they don't get any Winter Classic games. None of that.
I think an outdoor game would definitely get them out there for sure. But what do you? I don't know how much you've looked into this, or because again, Blackhawks, no talk about them. But what do you make of any of this? Because I think we'd be just as confused as you are. We don't know what the hell's going on.
No, we don't. We really don't.
Yeah.
What, with the season or with the Blackhawks?
Or with the team right now, the Blackhawks. Oh, the season's a whole question. I know you don't know.
Yeah. Season, I'm like, bro, I don't know either.
When it's
Chicago
here.
Blackhawks, I don't think I've ever seen a team do what they've done.
Seriously.
And it's funny. They were just showing Game 5 of the Blackhawks series against the Ducks.
Oh,
and I was watching it, and that was the game where Blackhawks are down by 2 goals with
like
3 minutes to go.
Throws a goal up from the goal line and beats Frederick Anderson.
They tie it, but then I think it was Matt Bolesky ends up winning it.
Oh yes, noted 2015 free agent Matt Bolesky.
Exactly, but then obviously the Chicago Blackhawks come back and win the series. And I'm watching that, and even that team, I'm like, even this team sort of won by the skin of its teeth.
Oh no, Duncan Keith carried that team.
Yeah,
100%. And there was a Patrick Maroon goal with not that much time left, and it's Kimmo Timonen on the ice, and there's confusion, and the team has no idea what's going on. Like, Duncan Keith carried that team.
He was our Thomas Caberlet that year. We gave up like a second and a fourth for him, and it's like maybe that's a bit too much for Timonen, but again, we won the cup, so it doesn't matter.
Well, and they started the playoffs with 4 defensemen essentially, and they won with 3.
It was 5. It was like Roosevelt, and then he got injured. He had that brutal injury against Minnesota. It was Keith Seabrook and Hjalmarsson, and Oduya basically had like one wrist in the final or whatever it was. Yeah.
So they 5 years ago to me was, I mean, they won the cup, but like that's when they should have saw that the sun was starting to set, and they did make the difficult decisions that you have to make by getting rid of guys. Just like they did after 2010, just like they did after 2013.
You have to.
Getting them back is something I don't understand at all, and they've done it with a ridiculous amount of guys, and they're God bless Jonathan Toews. He doesn't want to abandon his team. He doesn't like the word rebuild. Bro, you know who your goalies are. Like, I don't expect a hockey player, especially one as competitive as Jonathan Toews, to see the writing on the wall here. But, guys, like,
what do you make of that? And that's the thing, Jonathan Toews. He's not the how I put this, the insensitive, upper class, not understanding kind of guy, head in the clouds and hockey. I mean, he's probably one of the more progressive players in the league, but he's loyal. He's a very loyal guy. He wants to stick. He could be drafted by any team. He could have been drafted by any team. He was drafted here, and he doesn't want to leave. But like you said, like and that's kind of, I feel like, where a lot of fans are at. It's, what do you make of this?
Well, it's a uniquely Chicago thing to win a championship and viscerally hate the general manager you did it with. That's what I learned. That's what I learned from The Last Dance.
I was just gonna say The Last Dance teaches you all about that. Yes, and we've had it with the Bears. We've had it. I wouldn't say we've had it with the Cubs. Really, it's sort of happening. He just left after breaking the 108-year curse. I mean, it's a Chicago thing, but I think it's just so, it's almost unfathomable. Like they had one of the most memorable dynasties any team has had ever. Like it wasn't just, this team's dominant. It wasn't like the 90s, 2000s Detroit Red Wings that are just paying everybody. This team was under the cap. Like you said, they made tough decisions. They were just simply a different team. I've not seen many teams just have that they just snap it. They're there. Maybe the Pittsburgh Penguins, that's it.
They're so
my short lifetime.
I remember listening to the Brian Burke on your podcast, and like the point that really stuck out to me the most is that the great teams win more than once, and it's like if you just win it once, you're not really remembered as the team that won it like two or three times. No, you're the team that won it.
You won it. You had a cup.
Yeah, like you're not gonna remember, the mid 2000s as
the Anaheim Ducks
time.
Yeah,
they won in 2007. 2007 was their time, but. If you talk about the 2000s, you're probably talking about the Devils, you're talking about the Avalanche, and you're talking about the Red Wings.
Yeah.
And then the 2010s, it's the Blackhawks.
Yeah, and Penguins, I'd say.
Oh, no, for sure. Yeah, that goes without saying.
Kings.
And Kings. But that's it.
Yeah. And it's just such an amazing fall from grace. It's unfathomable today to think to myself that the same GM that made those decisions is the same guy who lowballed his franchise goalie, didn't make another offer or communicate with him, let him go, traded, for the third time lost a Brandon Saad trade.
Oh my God.
I have to say, Adam lets me know every other week or every week.
Well, we can commiserate when Saad hands the cup to Kadri.
Oh, no, dude. I'm saying, I'm telling you.
His line mate.
And I'm saying from somebody, I'm saying this from somebody who watches him every night. He's my favorite player. He is to me what James Reimer is to you. Love that guy, Brandon Saad. And this is coming from somebody who is not going to be biased, though. He's the kind of guy you plug with a franchise center. He is going to score 30-plus goals with McKinnon. He is going to score 30-plus goals with Nazem Kadri. It is going to be terrifying. So,
scary to begin with.
They had Devon Taves. They added Brandon Saad. And, fuck the league, honestly. Yeah. Fuck anybody else making a good trade. I don't know why anybody picks up the phone when Zach calls. I don't know. But they're winning the cup. I have no doubt about it. I don't have any doubt about it.
Yeah.
The team is unreal.
I'd be more surprised if they didn't win, if they did win.
Seriously.
Well, as we always say, their best team rarely wins. At least that's Anyways, Steve, you've been gracious with your time. I just want to ask you a few lightning round questions before you go, so I'm just going to answer them quickly here. What's your favorite movie or one of your favorite movies of all time?
Superbad.
Oh, yeah.
Classic.
Great choice.
Also Good Will Hunting.
Good Will Hunting. You know what? I don't know if you know who Catherine Silverman is, but when we had her on, she said that that was one of her favorite movie too.
Yeah, just got that last time.
Movie.
Yeah.
Beautiful movie, yeah.
Robin Williams, I miss him. He won an Oscar for that too, which was
deserving.
Awesome. What's your favorite TV show of all time?
Game of Thrones.
All time, I'm not sure. I really liked Hey Arnold.
Hey Arnold, classic from my childhood.
I love that. Most people are like, it's like Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad. It's a great show.
Hey Arnold.
Yeah,
I like that.
That's like me with SpongeBob. It's like, no, these critically acclaimed TV series. No, I like SpongeBob because that's what I grew up with.
Yeah, this kid doesn't fucking not quote this every day. He doesn't shut up about it. Yeah.
All right. What's your favorite band / album of all time? We're
getting your stat sheet, man. Got to get that out there.
Man, that's hard. I really like Good Kid, Mad City. by Kendrick.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God!
Classic,
Thank you.
classic.
Okay, that is. Well, Steve's based. Holy shit!
I
The amount of times I
really,
walk
it's a
around
really
and
good
listen to
album.
them.
Yeah.
It's no.
I'll
It's
say
perfect.
that.
Art.
I'll say that.
Okay.
Perfect.
And the last question, the most important question of all: do pineapples belong on pizza?
Come on, man.
Not for me personally, no.
Yes.
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 Okay.
We're in
Okay.
agreeance. We're in
Okay.
agreeance. All right.
If they're there, like I used to pick them off, and now I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll just eat it.
It's
Ken's
like that's
gotta
what
eat,
Ken
man.
Reed said on the podcast. It's like pizza is pizza, even if it has pineapples on it, and like that's the only thing there. I'm gonna eat it.
Yeah.
So officially a great guest. Obviously, we didn't think that before. Obviously.
Yeah.
That's great.
All right, Steve. Thank you for coming so on. And once again, I'm just gonna praise you. You've been part of like almost half my life. Like I've been watching you since 2011 that season, and I've been
Not
listening
creepy
to
at all, man. But
the
totally.
Don't make me feel bad. I feel bad now.
And then I've been listening to the podcast since it first started in 2013. And it's crazy how I've grown up, but I've also seen you like become like you've joined Sportsnet, you've written a book, you know, you have a child. It's crazy. And I want to thank you so much for coming on. And
Yeah, I'm gonna give a very.
he wrote a book. That's right. He wrote a book. His
wrote a
team
book.
was.
I'm gonna give a very out there thank you. Very. Let me keep it quick as I can. I know we've said that a lot of times. I want to keep it as quick as I can. From somebody who grew up in America in a very, with a very alt-right family, very diehard Catholic. I wasn't raised in the best situation. Yeah, a lot of fun. It was really, and it sounds weird, but it was very helpful to kind of have that out, to have a bunch of people who have such a healthy view on everything. And it, you know, and we are what we take in, we are what we, who we're around, we are what we watch, we are what we read, everything. And that was, this podcast really has been a big part of who I was and kind of where my values set, because it kind of helped me find that, not just in, you know, I mean, not just in human rights, but in, you know, with sports and how we handle things and how people should stand up for what they believe in and supporting things and whatnot, you know, and movements, everything. And I just have to say that definitely, that helped me a lot. I just feel like I wouldn't feel good if I didn't go and thank you for that before I ended this.
Well, thank you very much, boys.
And the one
Appreciate
last.
that. That's Adam and Jesse too.
Oh no, all you
That's
guys.
true,
I
yeah.
can't thank you guys enough. You're awesome. Thank you.
Last thing I had to say, I put on my Snapchat story interviewing Steve Dangle, and this is what my brother said. He said, kind of looks like Jim from The Office.
How?
I don't know.
Take
How?
it, you know, man, take it and run with it. Take it and run with it. Someone told me I look like Ryan Gosling once, and I said, you know what? I do. That's right. The rest of my life, I do look like Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, you don't correct him for that one. But Jim, what the?
All right.
Hey,
Thank
well.
you, Steve Dangle, for joining, and